Hey everyone, let's talk about something that can be pretty stressful, needing to get to your retirement money before you actually retire. It's a scary thought, right? But what if I told you there are perfectly legal ways to access those funds without getting slammed by a massive penalty? Well, today we're going to dive into that rulebook.
You know how it is. Life is just unpredictable. One minute, everything's going according to plan. The next, boom, some huge unexpected expense lands right in your lap. And you find yourself looking at that 401k or IRA balance thinking, is there any way I can get that money now? It's a tough spot to be in, but the answer isn't always a hard no.
Okay, so this is the big, scary number that stands in your way, a 10% penalty. That's the roadblock the IRS puts up if you even think about touching that money before you turn 59 and a half. And honestly, that's just the start of it.
Yeah, it's a real double whammy. It's not just the 10% penalty. You also have to pay a regular income tax on every dollar you take out. You put those two together, and it can take a massive bite out of your hard-earned savings. But what if there were ways to get around that first hit?
And that brings us right to our first section. We're going to break down this whole 10% penalty problem. And I'm going to show you that, yeah, it's a serious hurdle, but it's not always the end of the story.
See, the people who wrote the tax code, believe it or not, they knew that life just happens. So they built in some very specific exceptions. The best way to think about them isn't as loopholes, but as actual intentional financial lifelines. They're designed to help you out during some of life's toughest moments.
And that's our next section. We're going to start with the lifelines for the really critical stuff, health crises and major personal hardships. So we're going to hit three big ones here. What to do when medical bills are piling up, what happens if a disability means you can't work anymore, and how to handle paying for health insurance when you've lost your job. First up, medical expenses. Now, there's a very specific number you need to know here. You could take money out penalty-free, but only for the amount of your medical bills that goes above 7.5% of your adjusted gross income, or AGI. So let's say your AGI is $100,000. This lifeline only kicks in for the bills you have over $7,500. And don't forget, you still have to pay income tax on whatever you take out.
Next is the disability exception, and this one is for really severe situations. The catch is the definition the IRS uses. It's not enough to be out of work for a bit. A doctor has to certify that you are totally and permanently unable to do any kind of substantial work. It's a really high bar to clear for sure, but it's a critical safety valve if you need it.
And our third health-related lifeline is for paying your health insurance premiums while you're unemployed. But, and this is a big one, the details here are absolutely crucial. First, you have to have received unemployment for 12 straight weeks. And second, this exception is only for IRAs, not your 401k. The timing of it all is super strict, so you gotta follow the rules to a T. Okay, let's shift gears. We've talked about hardship, now let's talk about some major life milestones. Turns out the tax code also has some on-ramps for some of life's bigger and often much happier expenses. We're gonna look at three key life events: buying that first home, paying for college, and welcoming a new child into the family. All right, buying a first home. This is a really popular one, but the catches are super important. First, it's for IRAs only, not 401ks. Second, there's a lifetime limit of $10,000 per person. And third, you have to use that money within 120 days. So yeah, it can be a nice little boost for a down payment, but it's definitely limited. Next up is education. You can use your retirement money penalty-free for qualified college costs. Think tuition, fees, books, for yourself, your spouse, your kids, or even your grandkids. But here's the key difference. For IRAs, it's pretty straightforward. For 401ks, it totally depends on whether your specific plan even allows for it. And you guessed it, you still gotta pay income tax.
And this is a really cool one because it shows how the rules can be surprisingly flexible sometimes. When you have a new baby or adopt, you can take out up to $5,000 penalty-free. But here's the really neat part. That limit is per parent. So if both you and your partner have retirement accounts, you could actually pull out a total of $10,000 penalty-free. That could be a huge help with all those new family costs.
All right, let's pivot again. So far, we've been talking about these one-time expenses. But what if you're not facing a single big bill? What if you actually want to retire early and need a steady stream of income before you hit that magic age of 59 and a half? Well, there are specific strategies for that too. Okay, so you've basically got two main roads you can go down for early income. The first is called the Rule of 55. It's pretty simple.
If you leave your job in the year you turn 55 or older, you can take money from that company's 401k without the penalty. It's pretty flexible. The other path is something called 72T payments. This is where you take a series of fixed, equal payments over a long time. It's way more rigid, and the penalties for messing up are huge, but it can create a reliable paycheck if you do it right.
And we're not quite done yet. Beyond all those major categories, there are a handful of other, really specific exemptions for unique situations that are important to know about.
Let's just run through these real quick. If you inherit a retirement account, the beneficiaries can usually take money out penalty-free. If you're getting divorced, a special court order, it's called a QDRO, lets you divide up a 401k without a penalty. There are also special rules for military reservists called to active duty, for when the IRS puts a levy on your account, and for people impacted by a big federally declared disaster. They're all very specific, but they're critical if they happen to apply to you.
So now, after exploring all these different ways to, break the glass in an emergency, let's talk about the ultimate goal. Building a safety net that's so strong, you never even have to think about touching your retirement money in the first place.
And this, right here, is one of the most powerful tools out there, the Roth IRA. The IRS has these things called ordering rules. Basically, they say the first money that comes out of your Roth is always your original contributions. And the amazing part is, you can pull those contributions out anytime, for any reason, with zero tax and zero penalties. It's like a built-in emergency fund. Now, the earnings, the growth, that's different. That money stays locked up. But having access to your principal is a total game changer.
So after hearing about all of these lifelines and strategies and secret weapons, you might be thinking, okay, is this my new financial plan, just knowing all these escape hatches?
And the answer is a big, resounding no. Absolutely not. These are not a plan. Think of them as an emergency brake. They are there to stop a total financial disaster, but yanking that brake always comes at a huge cost to your future self. It should always, always be the last resort.
So what's the real safety net? It's this: a healthy emergency fund, 6 to 12 months of expenses, sitting in a savings account. Good, robust health insurance to handle those crazy medical bills. Disability insurance to protect your paycheck if you can't work. And term life insurance to protect your family. Building this kind of defense, proactively, is the single best thing you can do to make sure your retirement money stays right where it belongs, growing for your future.